These games have not been organized without controversy. That's the case with all Olympic games. And it's Mount Allen, the site of the Alpine events, that has taken the brunt of abuse this time. The facilities were put here because Alberta wanted them here. The province wanted the ski development, which is called Nakiska, and the Nordic Center at Canmore as part of its $500 million Kananaskis recreational development. When you pay $27 million to build something, you usually get to say where it's going to go. So, Mount Allen it was. Alternative sites were suggested, but it was argued they were either too far away or would require prohibitively expensive road systems to reach. Opponents of Mount Allen were everywhere and of every level of expertise. The hill was on the Chinook side of the Rockies, they said, and as an Olympic challenge, it was poor stuff.
It's a borderline case. I hope we'll succeed in putting a good downhill here. I hope so. I think it would be the wish of our Canadian friends to have the downhill here. And I know we would face difficulties if we had to say that we have to go somewhere else with the downhill.
That was Mark Hodler, president of the International Ski Federation, and his remarks sent the bulldozers and earth movers back to tear angrily at those slopes. By late last winter, Mount Allen finally had the Ski Federation's blessing and was ready for its first World Cup competition. But something was missing. It seemed the only blizzard the hill was going to see was a blizzard of words. Mount Mushmore, they called it, Mount Mud. In the hail of abuse and bad temper, some of the factual things got missed. In an average year, 20 feet of snow fall on the summit, so the records tell us. And in the average February, there should be 5 feet of snow base on the ski runs. But 1987 was not an average year. It was the warmest in a century, again, so the records tell us. Even then, only one ski event was canceled, and that because they put too much man-made snow on one part of the course. It's not a question of how much snow falls on Mount Allen, but how cold it gets. Almost all world-class events in alpine skiing are now run on man-made snow. The skiers prefer it. It's denser, faster, easier to groom. It even melts slower than natural snow. But to make snow efficiently with a modern plant like this, it needs to be cold. This operation at Nakiska cost $5 million and is probably the best in the world. It's computer-directed, and when the weather is right, they make snow all around the clock. Come dawn, the first person to come roaring down the slopes is usually the boss himself, René Farwig. At one time, René was on the Bolivian ski team. In fact, he was the Bolivian ski team and competed in a couple of Olympics and many World Cups. It's true that he is one of Mount Allen's biggest defenders, but he also knows it better than anybody else. We talked about it coming down the mountain the easy way.
The downhill is definitely a classic, will be a classic, and will be remembered as such. The Super G, the slalom, and the giant slalom are steep, and they're difficult, very challenging. And I'm sure that the racers, most of them already have said so, but they will in turn say it again that it was terrific slope.
From your point of view, what makes a really good ski run?
It has to have the variation. First of all, the speed. It has to have the technical turns, follow-away turns. You have to have bumps where you fly. You may fly 60 to 80 or 100 feet. On the downhill side, on the slalom and the technical events, the giant slalom has to have movement so that the racer can display the G's in steep sections as well as lower sections and flat areas, follow-away turns as well. It has all those things. People have put a tremendous effort into designing the run.
It took a while to do it, too, didn't it? Because the first time the Ski Federation came to look at it, they didn't like it very much. But we were accommodating Canadians in this sense, weren't we?
I think very much so. I think Canadians behaved tremendously in accommodation to the Europeans and to many input.
What you're saying is that the Europeans may not have done the same thing to accommodate the world as was done here at Nakiska.
That's right. I believe that there's no way that the Swiss people will tell the French how to build a downhill.
So now we have what will become, in your view, a classic mountain.
Very, very much so. It will be a classic. I think that for years to come, we will remember this downhill as one of the classic downhills.
Much maligned Mount Allen has turned into an Olympic jewel, and we're looking forward to all the excitement of the alpine events in this 1988 Winter Games, and who better to be working with than a former World Cup champion and the last Canadian man to win an Olympic medal, Steve Podgorski, one of the crazy Canucks. Steve, tell me about the mountain.
Well, there's no question the foundation of any great event is the mountain. The organizers have done a superb job here at Mount Ellen. The downhill is probably the steepest, roughest, toughest course you've ever seen in Olympic history. They're hitting speeds over 130 kilometers an hour already in training, and I think they're going to go faster in the race. So we've already been testing the metal at the nets and the races in training. Some of these guys have made great recoveries. I think another thing we should mention is we've got a lot of coverage besides the downhill. We have the combined downhill, the combined slalom, the Super G, the slalom, and the GS to be watching. And there's going to be a great battle between Pierman Zurbriggen of Switzerland, who's a choir boy, a really nice guy, and Alberto La Bamba Tamba, who's a playboy from Italy. A real classic competition. These guys can both win multiple medals.
Steve, the notorious wind at Nakiska, could it be a factor?
Definitely, especially in the faster events, the downhill and the Super G and the combined downhill. The guys could be hoping for no wind, but if it comes up, be watching on your TV for the gusts of snow coming up around the races.
Everybody's heard about the powerful Swiss team, and they are the favorites, there's no doubt. What chance do our Canadians have?
Well, you know, coming into the Olympics, our guys are second best. They're going to be trying for number one.
I'll tell you, it's going to be exciting. Stay with us.
The women's alpine events will be at least as interesting as the men's, maybe more. In these games, the Canadians plan to challenge strongly the remarkable skiers from Switzerland. Here, too, CTV's strength will be experience and expertise in the commentary booth with Jerry Sorensen, who was the overall downhill champion of the world in 1983, and Kathy Sproul of our Calgary affiliate, CFCN, who is one of Canada's best-known ski reporters.
Jerry, you've skied the ladies' downhill course. What is it like?
The course is in fantastic shape. I was up there this morning. It's really exciting, icy, fast. It's going to be an exciting race.
The wind has been a major problem here. Will that be a concern for the racers?
It could be a bit of a concern, especially on the lower part of the course. It's flatter, it's rolly. If you're low and you get a little bit of wind behind you, unbelievable.
The Swiss have been so powerful again this season, but the Canadians have kind of come on. Will the Canadians challenge the Swiss?
They'll definitely challenge the Swiss. But the four of them have been in the top 15 consistently this year. They'll be the closest rival to the Swiss team.
Of course, the Canadians are on home ground. They'll be cheering them on. There has been a lot of pressure. Will that be an advantage or a disadvantage?
If the Canadians can keep their cool, keep everything in perspective, I think they can do well here. They can't let all the outside happenings bother them. They'll do all right.
Of course, they've had a lot more experience on this course in training and in competition. How much of an advantage will that be?
It'll be a bit of an advantage, although I think experience will come into play here. Being the more difficult course, that'll be a really big factor.
But watch out for the Swiss.
Watch out for the Swiss.
Well, the ladies' alpine events will undoubtedly be exciting. We're looking forward to it. The first race will go this Thursday with the downhill here at Nakiska on Mount Allen.